So here we are. What is this battle? I can't remember. Numistro. From the Roman side. A little bit of pushing on this side, a little bit of pushing on this side, and then a little bit heavier in the center, and they've broken the center pretty heavily. It's still up in the air, I'd say. The Romans have taken a lot more in terms of losses, but if they can start overwhelming the ability of the Carthaginians to rally their forces, if they can actually attack routed units, as they managed with one of these here, or pop them as they did with another. Of course, an elephant is just going to crack. They may be able to improve on the casualty rate that we've been seeing so far. It's really tough with someone like Hannibal to destroy his army because he's got so much power towards rallying it. A light counterattack here in the center, and then a somewhat more impressive one with the elephants under Hasdrubal, smashing and driving away some of the cav. Over here on the Carthaginian left flank, still got the Numidians and still have Hannibal left, as well, of course, as who's coming next, which is Marcellus. Well, Marcellus rallied some of his forces, but mainly pushed forward and drove those elephants away. We see they're pretty much destroyed now, as well as hitting one of the phalanx units that was routed. Over here he's hit them. He's really plowing through sort of this right middle of the line. It looks actually like the Carthaginian right is pretty much demolished, or left is pretty much demolished. Over on the right, well, Mahrabal trumped in to prevent Marcellus from getting a second a momentum action. So he'll try to see if he can swing his army through too. Well, Mahrabal unleashed his Numidians again, striking this way. But they actually fell into kind of a trap where this one unit in particular slammed into a velite it was hoping to scare away, but it hit the front of the velite. And that's not a good matchup. They're actually better off hitting legions than light infantry, even from the flank. But some of the medium infantry managed to clear the way, routing a couple of Roman units and saving those cav, basically, at least in terms of position. They look a lot safer than they did a moment ago. Now we're on to the last, which is Hannibal himself. He's going to mainly focus on rallying. I counted up his losses here, and he's actually above the Roman tactical quality in losses, and he has less available to lose. So he's in really shaky ground right now. Alright, well, let's see what the points are, because Hannibal actually managed to do quite a bit of damage with his counterattacks, pushing some more elephants in, driving things back on this flank where things were looking pretty bad. He knocked the Romans back from his phalanx. He didn't manage to get it out of column though, so it's again in danger of being hit. Let's see what he's got. We saw his points before, actually. Well, I did 14, 20, 27, 37, 43, and 6. 49 points. That's a lot, but we got a few Romans there, and they're doing kind of poorly. 49 puts me up to 80. We're only 20 away from breaking, whereas the Romans have 24 more, which puts them up to 87. They've still got more room, but it's at least better than it looked a little while ago. And Hannibal didn't even give both momentums. He missed one of his rolls. I get some Romans. I'm using a single, which is kind of weird, but a single box for pursuits, because the other side has the other one. Alright, onward. And Hannibal opens things off in this turn by using his elite bonus finally. And he smacks forward with some very tired heavy and medium infantry, the phalanx, etc., but drives even more fatigued Romans off the hill. We got these guys up here that stood and here, but for the most part, we see a big line of routed units. He also used the elephant, which was one step away from rampaging, but it got like 12 cohesion hits on the unit that it hit, so there was just no question whatsoever. There's still a fairly decent little Roman line here, which could come up and drive those Carthaginians back down the hill. But it's a troublesome situation because Rome's got to be careful and rally their forces. They can throw their Triarian line at this point, but they've got to be careful and rally their forces and make sure people don't get off the map, and make sure that the Carthaginians can't just attack their routing units, because if they can do that, they can drive probably enough. We're only talking, what, 40 points away here. Of course, the Carthaginians are only 20 away, so they've got to be careful too. There's no question. We'll see. Kind of a weird sort of battle, not a lot of room for maneuver, and both armies don't feel like they have the chance to really stand and wait. The Romans don't want to give the Carthaginians the chance to recover themselves and try to build a line again. With the terrain advantage, it's kind of painful to attack up this hill. So they're pressing harder than maybe they should and trying to crack their way through, but you can see their army's not holding up terribly well in trying to press on like this. It's kind of an odd situation. I haven't played many games where I've really pushed this hard, and we're not talking about you know, necessarily taking extra actions with units much. What we're talking about is just not recovering as much as I often do. Well, the Romans got a momentum. They've kind of broken through and knocked that phalanx out of the way. Hamilcar tried to preempt it, but he failed. And we've got kind of this mixed thing, this big line of Romans that are falling back, running away because of the combat, but we still have, the Carthaginian line is also in danger. So one of the things that comes out is who's going to roll worse. So far it's the Romans with their worst leaders who are more likely to in terms of losing units that they're trying to rally. Hannibal's pretty good. On the other hand, Marcellus is pretty good too, but I used this Tribune to roll one. Probably a mistake, but the numbers are getting high on the casualty count. It's going to be hard to bring this army around to fight again. We'll see. Hasdrubal looked like he was doing pretty well rallying his forces, but using an elephant to smash into the side of, into the flank of a couple of the Roman units. One of them he knocked away, ran down here. The other one, though, well, the elephant got scared all of a sudden, turned and ran. I didn't want to use his lesser ability to try to rally this phalanx. It's just too important. I'm going to wait for Hannibal to do that. But I did bring these Balearic slingers up to start shooting into the flank there. Not engaging, just throwing their little rocks and causing problems. So it's an interesting situation where Mahrabal ended up trumping in to prevent Marcellus from getting momentum and thereby being able to rally more forces. He rallied what he could, took some losses. Mahrabal then launched attacks and knocked out a couple of the Roman units actually with them, and also tied things down so that maybe this could get away, but he didn't get a momentum. Then we go over to Hannibal, who can only get one momentum because he used his elite bonus before up here, and he rallied some units but also charged forward and with one of the light infantry and threw some missiles. Turns out it was a good move. Let's see why. When we count the points at the end of this turn, and I haven't rallied anything yet, this is 14, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. That puts it to 105. Uh-oh, Carthage has already lost, but 12, 18, 26, 36, 40, 45. Okay, maybe I should have done a little bit more attacking with the hopes of knocking out another unit. As it is, Carthage is losing this battle, but only just barely. Both sides are broken. The Romans just hit their tactical quality limit. Carthage is 3 points over. This is essentially a draw. I mean, there's no way you could call this a victory one way or the other. With those kind of results, neither side is in any condition to really campaign after this, and both are badly hit. Anyway, was an interesting scenario. First time I've had that happen. I've had threats of it before on the Pyrrhic battles, I think. But this is actually the first time I've seen one which was this even. Very interesting battle. I'd suggest picking this one up just for a nice, kind of small in terms of size, decent amount of units. Not a lot of maneuver in it, so it's not interesting that way, but going up that hill is an interesting situation. This is Numistro over in one of the C3Is. You can find it linked right at the GMT site, and there's also links for it on the Geek, probably over on Content World as well. All right, up this goes.